Insurance. It's a topic rarely discussed in detail, but one that should be, because it's essential in the world that we live in today. And if you drive an automobile or a motorcycle in the state of Texas, well, then you need it. But choosing what types of insurance you need, that can be confusing because of the number of choices available and the way that it's packaged. On today's program, Houston attorney Jim Walker joins us to discuss the importance of choosing the right insurance. I'm Matt Topolsky, and this is Legally Speaking. Jim Walker has been rated one of the top personal injury lawyers in Houston by Inside Houston magazine for the last 10 years. And he's been a practicing attorney for over 30. It's my pleasure to introduce Walker, Texas lawyer. How are you, sir? I'm
good, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Good. Thank you. Over 30 years.
I know.
My goodness. That's more than half my life.
That's more than my entire life.
Well, one of us is getting older.
It's nice to have you here, sir.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, you know, the holidays are coming up. Travel season is upon us. And so my first question's got to be, you know, as a traveler, should I be picking up insurance on that rental car?
Picking up insurance on a rental car? Oh, well, like any other question, that depends. That depends if you have insurance on a vehicle of your own. If you have a vehicle and you have insurance on it, I would say no, because that insurance will cover you driving the rental car.
So that's something a lot of people don't know. So you can actually take that insurance with you somewhere else. It doesn't just stop at your car.
Absolutely. The insurance goes with you. However, if you have a high deductible because you have an older vehicle, you may want to get the insurance on the rental car anyway to have a no deductible policy, because that car that you're renting is going to be a newer vehicle than what you have.
So can you give me an example of why you would need that insurance in the case that you know, let's say that you're going to another country, for example?
Well, I have a very good example, a very sad example, however. 2 or 3 years ago, I handled a case. Some young exchange students from Nepal were killed in an accident here in Texas, and fortunately, the driver was wise enough to purchase rental car insurance when he rented the vehicle. And had he not done so, there would have been no coverage. Now, he did purchase what we call under and uninsured motorist coverage, however, which in this case was $1 million, and allowed the families of those deceased boys to pick up insurance coverage.
So for those of us that don't know, what does that insurance provide for you?
Well, uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, uninsured motorist coverage provides insurance for you in case you are hit by someone, in case you're injured by someone who does not have coverage. I highly recommend that you carry uninsured motorist coverage along with the other coverages, the liability and collision, and PIP, personal injury protection. Now, underinsured motorist coverage protects you should the person who hit you not have enough insurance for the injuries they caused you. If your injuries are astronomical and severe, you would want to have underinsured coverage that would kick in after the liability coverage was paid by the person who hit you.
Gotcha. Well, that's very good to know. And it's also surprising because many people don't know that you can take your insurance with you somewhere else. And would this also apply for if someone else was driving your own automobile too?
Absolutely. If someone's driving your vehicle with your permission, that vehicle is covered for the person driving it as well. You know, it's important that we understand that when we go to purchase insurance, the insurance companies will tell you that full coverage is they tell you you've got full coverage, and to them that means liability coverage to cover the other fella in case you're at fault, and collision coverage to cover the vehicle and pay off the bank in case you're involved in an accident, and pay you, of course, if the vehicle's paid for. However, I think it's important for you to purchase uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage and personal injury protection for you. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, you may as well cover yourself as well. And it doesn't cost that much more to carry those kinds of coverages. And if you're going to spend money to cover the other guy, why not cover yourself as well?
I agree with you. Let's stop there for a second. Great place to pick up after we take a break. We'll be talking about the different types of insurance and what actually constitutes full coverage, as well as motorcycle insurance, too. I think that's something that's very important to talk about.
Yes, it is.
So more in a moment here on Legally Speaking.
An accident can be physically and financially devastating to both you and your family. And there are a lot of personal injury lawyers out there who will make you promises about what they can do for you. But the truth is, if you've been seriously injured in an auto accident or an offshore accident, you're going to need results, not just promises. Hi, I'm Jim Walker, the lawyer. You know, we're open 7 days a week to assist you in your injury claims because, you know, accidents don't just occur during business hours.
This is Legally Speaking. I'm Matt Topolsky, and I'm being joined by Walker, Texas lawyer, also known as Jim Walker. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
And before we went to break, we were talking about the different types of insurance. And let me ask you, what exactly constitutes full coverage? When the insurance company says you have full coverage, what do they mean?
Well, they mean that you have liability coverage, which protects the other person if you're at fault, and collision coverage, which covers the vehicle, and in most cases the bank, because most people are driving cars that the bank financed. If the car is paid for, of course, you get that money. There are two other types of insurance, uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage and PIP coverage, personal injury protection coverage, that I also recommend.
Let's talk about the underinsured motorist coverage, for example. What would be an example of a case in which you would need something like that?
Well, one example is a standout example to me is if you're driving a motorcycle.
Okay.
You should absolutely, without hesitation, have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage along with the liability and collision. Motorcycle accidents tend to be very devastating. They tend to be very catastrophic injuries. And even if the person who hits you that's at fault has coverage, minimum limits in a motorcycle accident rarely are going to be enough because the injuries are so severe to the motorcycle driver. I wholeheartedly recommend that you carry uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. That way you can go to an excess coverage on your own policy to pick up the differences when the other coverage does, what the defendant's carrier doesn't cover. And I know that sounds very confusing, but think of it this way. Maximum limits of $30,000 right now will not cover you very far if you're involved in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
If you have an additional $30,000 and UM and UIM coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, you're talking about a great deal more money. And I would recommend that you carry personal injury protection insurance, which would pay for part of your medical bills and lost wages, because you're certainly going to have lost wages and medical bills in a motorcycle accident. I've handled very few motorcycle cases that did not result in policy limits claims.
So basically, many people that have motorcycle insurance right now, the insurance they're picking up is really just protecting the other person.
Right.
They're not really protecting themselves. And in the case of you taking your motorcycle and crashing into a car, who is going to be the victim of more damage?
Excellent example is that people driving motorcycles are the ones that are going to suffer the most injury. Car on motorcycle, the motorcycle is going to lose. So it's only common sense that you carry more insurance for a motorcycle than if you're driving your dually around, okay? Right. It's important to carry underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage and PIP on a motorcycle. Think of yourself, not just the other guy. Think about yourself and your family, by the way, not just the other guy. You need that coverage for you and your family.
Absolutely. We're going to pick it up in a moment because I want to talk about the average motorist and how much it would actually cost for them to pick up this coverage that we're talking about. Because right now, you see many things on TV. There are certain insurance companies that are out there offering their services at low-ball prices just to keep you legal. and safe on the roadway. Those are two very different things. So if you would stay with me, sir.
Okay.
More with Legally Speaking in a moment.
An accident can be physically and financially devastating to both you and your family. And there are a lot of personal injury lawyers out there who will make you promises about what they can do for you. But the truth is, if you've been seriously injured in an auto accident or an offshore accident, you're going to need results, not just promises. Hi, I'm Jim Walker, the lawyer. You know, we're open 7 days a week to assist you in your injury claims because, you know, accidents don't just occur during business hours.
Have you been injured in an accident? There's only one name you need to know: Walker, Texas Lawyer. If you've been injured in a truck wreck, a car wreck, or a motorcycle accident, there's only one number you need to know, and that's 713-552-1117. Put it in your phone now, and visit my website at walkertexaslawyer.com. Remember, one name, Walker, Texas Lawyer, one number, 713-552-1117.
This is Legally Speaking. I'm Matt Topolsky, and I'm being joined by attorney Jim Walker, also known as Walker, Texas Lawyer. And now we're going to discuss how much it really costs the average motorist to pick up that additional coverage, because it's a topic of conversation we have to have. I mean, there's a price to be paid with your checkbook, and then there's another price, and that would be human life in this case.
Right, and unfortunately, we have to weigh out the benefits of what you're buying. You know, insurance is a strange thing. It's something you buy that you hope you never have to use. And of course, the insurance company hopes you'll never have to use it either. It's one of the few things that you buy that you don't want to use. But I recommend that people spend the little extra money that it costs to purchase the underinsured motorist and uninsured motorist and the personal injury protection. The vast majority of the cost in automobile insurance is going to be for the collision because of the property damage, the vehicle itself, and for the liability, that which protects the other fellow in case you're at fault. The uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage and the PIP insurance is I think, minimal compared to the collision and liability coverage. I think it's important to get the entire package, all four types of insurance when you get it. Now, a lot of times people will ask me, well, you know, I have medical insurance, so why do I need the PIP? Well, PIP will pay in addition to any medical insurance that you might have, and will also cover lost wages. So it essentially is a medical provider and a disability if you're off work as a result of the accident. And for the price of the PIP, I still recommend that you buy it. Yes, if you have health insurance, it's not as necessary, but I would still get it if it were me.
Right. And how much, I mean, I know you can't quote an exact rate, but how much are we talking about in terms of how much more would it be to get that total package? I mean, why don't more people do that?
It's nominal compared to the liability and the collision, and people don't do it because I don't know if the insurance companies push the issue to buy it or not. I'm not sure how that works. And a lot of people walk away saying, well, I have full coverage, and they don't know any better. I'm not sure about that either. I don't know if insurance companies spell it all out. I don't know what the agents are doing. But I can tell you one thing. Some of these new companies that are out there that are pushing the cheap insurance,
Yes.
be careful what you buy, because you may not be getting much for your money.
One of them, which I believe they say, keeping you legal for less. And I don't know whether that's really a great thing for you to be doing or not.
Yeah, legal. It may be keeping you legal, but it's not keeping you safe, and it's not keeping you out of court. I do know that we file suit more often against some of these, what I call fly-by-night carriers, than we do some of the bigger name carriers. I can't really go into who they are, but they're a little remiss in their coverage, and they're a little difficult to deal with. Therefore, the harder you make it to do the right thing, the more likely you are that I'm going to do the right thing and sue on behalf of my client.
Right. So it makes it difficult for people that are carrying the right coverage and doing the right thing, and then they're hit by a motorist that has coverage like that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Which, again, I know we've beat this horse as much as we can. I hearken back to having uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Think about yourself and think about your family. If you're going to buy insurance, buy a little for yourself as well.
Because you're not just protecting the other people, but you need to be protecting you and the people in
Well,
your car as well.
I would think you'd want to protect yourself. You know, there's another insurance that's out there, Matt, that's called gap insurance.
Okay.
Now, gap insurance is a strange beast, but I think is a very good quality product. Gap insurance covers your vehicle for the difference between what you owe and what it's worth. When you're involved in an accident, and whether it's your fault or their fault or whoever's fault it is, you only get from the insurance company what the vehicle's worth, not what you owe. You may owe $15,000 for your car, and it may only be worth $10,000.
And that never happens where people are underwater.
It happens. It happens most of the time, quite unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upside down in their vehicles. They're upside down. Their car is worth less than they owe on it. And you can buy gap insurance when you purchase a vehicle that will cover the difference between what you owe and what it's worth. And that may be quite a bit sometimes. I've had clients where the gap in there was several $1,000s, and they're very disappointed because they never understood that the insurance companies only pay what the car is worth, not what you owe. But I can tell you that is the case, and that is the truth. Another instance on carrying gap insurance would be if you're in a lease vehicle. It's very important to carry gap insurance as well on that, because when you turn that vehicle in and it's been in an accident, you'll want to make sure that you're covered for the gap between what it's worth and what it's worth when you bring it in.
Absolutely.
What it's supposed to be worth when you bring it in.
Absolutely. It sounds like something that's very important right now, considering how many vehicles are being leased and how many people are underwater in their vehicles right now, considering the state of the economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gap insurance is a fairly minimal charge coverage, and I think you get a lot of bang for the buck if you've been in an accident, because the value of your vehicle, especially on a lease vehicle, goes down if it's been in a wreck, and you're going to be held accountable for the value that they assign to that vehicle upon its return.
Right.
In other words, your lease was based on the time and the miles you drove that car.
Right.
And you're supposed to bring it back, and it's supposed to be worth X amount of dollars. Well, if it's been in an accident, it's going to be devalued, and gap insurance will cover that difference.
Very valuable information. Thank you so much, Jim. We're going to be back in a moment with more Legally Speaking, discussing the tactics used by insurance companies and why you should think about hiring an attorney if you have to deal with them.
There you go.
Stay with me, please. More in a moment.
Have you been injured in an accident? There's only one name you need to know: Walker, Texas Lawyer. If you've been injured in a truck wreck, a car wreck, or a motorcycle accident, there's only one number you need to know, and that's 713-552-1117. Put it in your phone now, and visit my website at walkertexaslawyer.com. Remember, one name, Walker, Texas Lawyer, one number, 713-552-1117.
This is Legally Speaking. I'm Matt Topolsky, and I'm being joined here today by Walker, Texas Lawyer. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And we've learned a lot in the last few segments that we've visited with each other. But now we want to talk about insurance companies in general and why someone should hire an attorney in matters where they must deal with these companies. Why should someone hire you if they have to deal with an insurance company?
Yeah, well, insurance companies have their lawyers, and I believe that if you're involved in an accident, which is not your fault, that you should have your lawyer. You know, let's be clear about this. Insurance companies are in the business of selling insurance and collecting premiums and getting away with as little as possible and paying out. It's just human nature, just a natural course of business that they don't want to pay out any more than they have to. And they may say they're being fair. I have found over the 31 years that I've been in this business that they're not really entirely fair.
Yeah.
You know, there's a number of excuses and a number of reasons they don't want to pay. They'll claim that you had a pre-existing condition, that this accident didn't cause the problem. The accident was not severe enough to cause this injury. Property damage was not high enough to cause an injury like this. You know, it's a funny thing. When the property damage is $1,500, they bring that up and they ring that bell so loud that it's deafening. However, when it's $22,000 worth of property damage and a rollover vehicle, and I bring that up, they say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with it. We're just going to look at the injuries. So it's important to have someone who's run the rickets with the insurance company and who is used to the excuses and the roadblocks they throw up. You know, they'll tell you your client's so young they couldn't have possibly been hurt. They're only 20 years old. They're such a stud they should never have been injured. Well, okay, not so, but you know, or on the other hand, your client is an elderly person, and therefore they had all these injuries before the accident. So you know, every once in a while I ask them, you know, what exactly is the magic age where you can be hurt in a wreck? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where is that magic age? You know, your client's a little chunky, so therefore they had back problems. You know, guess what? No. The problem you have is, however, no one that I've ever had goes out and gets an MRI on their spine a week or so before the wreck so they can prove, hey, in case I'm in a wreck next week, I can show you my spine was in good shape, and now it's not.
Right.
Who does that? But that's kind of the argument that you have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And yeah, get a lawyer? Oh, yes, you bet.
Well, I think it's important for people to know that they're not running a non-for-profit business here. I mean, they are in the business of making money and making sure that they pay as little as possible.
And that's exactly what they're in the business of doing, and even more so in some places like Texas than others. There's been a lot of propaganda here by insurance companies, which has caused the payout rates on claims in Texas to be quite a bit lower than some other parts of the country.
Right.
Which is insurance companies flock to places where they make a higher profit. So the profit margin is much higher. If the premiums are high and you don't have to pay out that much on claims, obviously you're going to make more money.
So it's a bad idea to take on an insurance company on your own.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's hard enough for the lawyer.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it either. We'll be right back with Legally Speaking. We're going to have an under review segment and recap everything we've talked about here today. So stay with us, folks.
An accident can be physically and financially devastating to both you and your family. And there are a lot of personal injury lawyers out there who will make you promises about what they can do for you. But the truth is, if you've been seriously injured in an auto accident or an offshore accident, you're going to need results, not just promises. Hi, I'm Jim Walker, the lawyer. You know, we're open 7 days a week to assist you in your injury claims because, you know, accidents don't just occur during business hours.
Have you been injured in an accident? There's only one name you need to know: Walker, Texas Lawyer. If you've been injured in a truck wreck, a car wreck, or a motorcycle accident, there's only one number you need to know, and that's 713-552-1117. Put it in your phone now, and visit my website at walkertexaslawyer.com. Remember, one name, Walker Texas Lawyer, one number, 713-552-1117.
This is Legally Speaking. I'm Matt Topolsky, and we've been joined today by attorney Jim Walker. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And this is our under review segment where we recap everything that we've talked about on the program and provide our audience with a takeaway. So let me ask you, what would be the takeaway from our conversation today? What should they take away from this?
Well, I think the thing that the audience should take away from this is to take care of yourself and your family. And by that I mean, if you have to purchase liability insurance and collision insurance, it's required by law. That takes care of everyone else. Now, buy that extra insurance that I consider valuable to take care of yourself and your family. Get the uninsured motorist coverage. Get the underinsured motorist coverage. Get the PIP, the Personal Injury Protection Insurance. This will protect you and your family in case you're involved in an accident. If you're going to take care of everybody else, you may as well spend a few extra dollars and take care of yourself.
Absolutely, because buying insurance is about more than just saving money.
That's absolutely correct. And again, the gap insurance, I would recommend that you buy that as well. That will protect you in case you're in an accident and will pay off that vehicle if you're underwater, as you say, or upside down.
Yes.
Or if you're in a rental car and it's been in an accident. It's just not worth what it's supposed to be worth when you turn it in.
Absolutely.
And the gap insurance will pick up that difference, which can be thousands of dollars. And you don't want to be stuck with that and then get rid of the car at the same time. Nobody wants to lose their car and have to pay to get rid of it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just not fair. I guess the other thing that I would take away from this conversation we've had today is if you're on a jury and you're selected to be on a jury and you have a personal injury claim, please be fair. Don't think. I know the propaganda out there from the insurance industry is that everyone that's involved in an accident or brings a claim is fraudulent or they're bad people. This is simply not true. Be fair. Put yourself in the shoes of that person that's bringing this claim. If you're involved in a trial, a personal injury claim, and you're on the jury, be fair. Try to understand that not every case is a fraud. Very rarely do people fraudulently represent claims. I know the insurance industry wants everybody to think that bad folks bring claims. That's just not true.
And they have a huge propaganda machine, which has been hard at work.
Well, they have a
convincing
better machine than we do.
Absolutely. Trying to work to fix that, though.
We're trying.
Yes. To learn more about your office, people can go to.
They can visit me at my website at walkertexaslawyer.com, or they can do the old-fashioned thing and pick up their phone and call me at 713-552-1117, or visit the website, which we're happy. I think I'm very proud of the website. I hope you'll enjoy it, and it'll give you some valuable information on things that we haven't even covered here today.
Absolutely. A great pleasure visiting with you, sir.
Good to see you, Matt.
Thank you.
Take care.
Matt Topolsky for Legally Speaking. Until next time, take care, everyone.